Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Guns in Radio podcast. And now, give it up for your hosts, Chris, Caputo, and Dustin Bonez.
The road to 100 episodes keeps going on every week here. This is episode number 92 of the Guns in Radio podcast. And it's another special one this week because we got a good guest here on the show hanging out with us this week. Dustin, introduce him for us.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, our guest this week from YouTube's Rock and Roll True Stories and formerly of GNR Central, please welcome the host and the creator of both of these great channels, Sid.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I've done a lot of interviews lately, and it's nice to talk about something that's not marketing for once.
Oh, man.
Like just about music. Yeah, it's nice.
I bet that is a pain in the ass, because I couldn't imagine making money in a field where so much is given away for free.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was talking to my wife about this the other day, and she was telling somebody, I started Rock and Roll True Stories a month before my daughter was born, just because I felt like I'd done everything that there was to do with GNR Central, because there's only so many stories you can tell. And I thought, I'll just do Rock and Roll True Stories and kind of forget about it. See, do one video a month or something. And it kind of blew up after I started doing the Alice in Chains stuff. And I was like, oh, wow, there's something here. So I never intended it to grow into what it has. It just was really a luck more than anything.
Well, I mean, and there's a quality, too, to the videos. I mean, you do a good job of them, or else it would never have blown up that well.
Yeah, thanks. If you watch my early videos, they're terrible. I was watching some of my really early stuff because the editing was really bad, and I didn't have a proper studio like I have now. And yeah, you kind of see it evolve, and I'm really proud of where it's at now and the research we do. It's a lot of time intensive stuff, but it's worth it for the end product at the end, I think.
Oh, yeah. And even on the stuff that were mistakes, and because I know what you're talking about, because I've been watching the GNR Central for a while, so I know what you mean. There is definitely a progression of quality that comes up, but even when it was there was you could see mistakes and glitches and things happen every now and then, the content therein was good enough that didn't pump the brakes on the experience of the.
And that's what GNR probably taught me. GNR Central taught me more was that had I not done those true story episodes, I probably wouldn't have started Rock and Roll True Stories, because I learned that people really enjoyed those short documentaries. That I'm oh, maybe I should just use that for just another channel. And yeah, it took off. I thought rock and roll might be too generic because everybody likes different genres, whether it's metal or classic rock or grunge or whatever it is. But yeah, the one thing I've heard from a lot of people is that even though they don't like certain bands, we did one on Live this past week, people are oh, I hate this band, but I still enjoyed the story because I didn't know their stories. People still like the stories of the bands, even if they're not fans of their music.
Now, when you're putting together one of these documentaries and you've gathered the information on the subject, how do you what's the word I'm looking for? What is the process for putting that in a chronological order and creating a story that you then tell in your own words?
It's really difficult. I don't really have a format necessarily for each story is different, but I guess what is one I'm working on right now? Well, I know one that I've got a ton of requests for is Silverchair, which I wish my wife started writing. So for this case, she did a lot of the front end research, and then she sends me the script. And I try to find as many old articles. To me, that gets me excited in my day. Some people, it's driving a fast car. For me, it's if I find an old Spin magazine article from 1993 or 1994, I get really excited. Or LA Times or New York Times, or from back when they were popular, because those kinds of articles have way more information than what you find on the news sites today. They just did more research, and it's you get those little tidbits that you can't get reading the newer websites that post news today. So I try to start with there, and the first thing I really do is read the Wikipedia page to kind of get a sense of okay, this is kind of the narrative of their story. And then I kind of try to piece everything in between. And I read tons of articles from back in the day. And then I kind of try to roughly create a cohesive story. A lot of times it goes terribly wrong at the beginning. The Live script took me forever to write. and then eventually kind of molds itself into a story. It's just like, if I'm not creatively feeling inspired, then I'll just leave it. And like some stories just sit for 6 months. Like I've still got scripts that I just did one today about, I guess I can say, that band Dream Theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Mike Portnoy, there was this crazy story in the early 2000s that there was this impersonator going around New York City pretending to be him, and he would hook up with all these gay men at like nightclubs and stuff, and then he would rob them. So and then this kept happening again and again, and people started to catch on. Okay, this guy's now Mike Portnoy, so they started emailing Mike Portnoy. And sure enough, the police got involved, and it's a fascinating story. So I had written that like 6 months ago, but I just never got around to finishing it. But I finally did it today. So it's coming up soon. So it's just like creatively, if I'm not feeling inspired, it's just like if you're a musician, right? You don't feel inspired, you have to go on to something else. But each script is kind of different. But I try to find as many old articles and read interviews, watch interviews, and try to piece together somewhat of a cohesive story to tell. Especially now, if you've seen our channel, our videos are much longer than they were. Like the live one was like 16 minutes. I've got ones towards the end of the year. They're going to be probably 25 to 40 minutes in length that I'm planning on at least.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, I also have a staff of editors who can do the shorter videos for me, so I can focus my energy on like doing the long videos.
It's always a good thing to have.
Yeah, I never thought it would grow into something where I had like a staff of people to help me out, but I'm fortunate that they do, because I have a normal day job too, so it's kind of crazy.
Well, hey, I mean that just means if you're able to do that and you're able to have the staff, then what you're doing is obviously working. So a lot of people are enjoying what you're doing. So there's got to be a quality to that when it comes to YouTube. Let me ask you this. Of rock and roll bands. So let's say, some people, everybody's got a different upbringing and everything. So what if somebody came along and you had a fan of yours that never really paid attention to hair metal or classic rock, and you was going to show them a band? And don't just say Guns N' Roses.
No, I'm not going to say Guns N' Roses.
Who would you show them first?
Whose
story would you tell them to captivate their imagination?
I think a lot of people say the Beatles, but I mean, I'm not like a hardcore Beatles. I'd probably say Led Zeppelin. I'd probably say Led Zeppelin. Probably that's probably where I'd start.
Okay.
Or the Stones, because like all those hard rock bands that came in the 80s and 70s were hugely inspired by either Led Zeppelin or Rolling Stones. Of course, the Beatles, but I think for me it'd be Zeppelin or the Stones. But yeah, I think those two probably stick out.
Okay.
Those are the two bands.
Some good choices. Have you ever seen the Stones?
No, what's funny? We were, with COVID, my entire memory of stuff is just like, it's the blur the last year. They were supposed to play in Eastern Canada and what were they supposed to play? I think it was it this past summer or the summer before? And it was like the only date that was closest to me and I wanted to go, but I think something came up. I don't know if it was COVID or something else, but the tickets were so outrageous for the Stones. Like if you want to go see them now.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if I had the opportunity, I'd go see them like now, once COVID's like over and stuff. But no, I never. Have you guys seen the Stones?
I have not. I almost bought tickets to see the Stones one time in 2000. I think it was 2011, 2012. I was in a position where I was making really good money in real life. I was making adult money, not really good money. I was making grown-up money, but I was still a kid living at home, and. So I would go see a lot of concerts during that period of time in my life. And the Rolling Stones came real close to me, and I got on, and I was about to buy nosebleed section seats to go see them. And when I got on there, the nosebleeders were like $300, and I went, no way, fuck that for nosebleeds. So I logged off, went home pissed off, and I thought about that all afternoon. So the next morning, I'm sitting at my desk at work, and I'm like, you know what, fuck it, it's the Stones. I'll pay the $300, and I'll go see the concert. But I'd already pissed off the gods of rock and roll with my actions the day before, because whenever I went to log in to buy the tickets, they sold out.
Yeah, the first time I saw Guns N' Roses was like on the Not in This Lifetime tour in 2017, and I got the nosebleeds, and God, those were like maybe not 300 a piece, but I think they were like $225 a piece for the nosebleeds.
Oh yeah.
But my buddy of mine, Kevin, who's like one of those GNR collectors, I think he went to every single night that the Stones played at the Coliseum in 1989 where Guns opened. He went to each one of those shows when he was a kid. I don't know what the ticket prices were, but that would have been a great show to see.
Oh yeah, that would have been great. I'm wondering how that would go. That'd be wild.
Yeah, I asked him at the time. I said, could you tell the band was falling apart?" And like, when Axl gave his Mr. Brownstone speech, he's like, "No, you had no idea." Plus, he was a kid then, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. Caputo and I, we've been doing this internet thing for a little bit, and luckily we haven't had many problems arise from certain people within our community whose names we refuse to mention on this show.
Yep.
So I heard that you guys had been affected by that situation. Is that something you're interested in talking about?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I got a bunch of bogus copyright strikes on GNR Central. I think I got 15 of them, and I won every single one of them. So yeah, it was ridiculous. It was all covered under fair use, and yeah, that's basically all I have to say about that. But you guys are lucky you haven't had to deal with that stuff, because yeah, it's irritating. Even on Rock and Roll True Stories, I get some people who don't understand how fair use works, and they lose every single claim. Or photographers get in touch with me and they're like, you use my photo for 3 seconds of a 16-minute long video, and it's like they don't understand fair use. You try to explain to them, they don't get it. So yeah, no, I've got a copyright lawyer that I use, and that's been a big help for sure.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know what was going on, and the people outside of the deepest parts of this community, I guess, may not understand it, but we're really glad to see you kick ass on that.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm fortunate that like the channel's big enough now that I have people at YouTube who are there to help me out, that I can call on if stuff like this arises. So that's the good thing about the channel, and having like been blessed to have like a good following. Like, it makes your life easier than if you're a small creator.
Oh yeah, definitely so.
Yeah.
Well, Caputo,
Yeah.
did you said you had some stuff too?
Did I? I think no, I don't have anything. I think you pretty much covered everything that we were gonna get to. So.
Well, let's BS for a little bit then.
Yeah.
How long have you got? We don't want to wear out our welcome. But...
I don't know. I could. How about we do like another 10 minutes?
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Sure.
Well, man, thank you for coming on the show, and thank you for taking time to be a part of it and everything. With our last few minutes here, do you want to do our song review with us?
Sure. Yeah.
And we'll go ahead and then we'll just tape a filler for the middle.
Yeah.
All right. So our song of the week is Death on the Lips. And this part will get edited out, by the way, so I don't care to say.
Yeah.
We don't have a copyright lawyer. We've just got real lucky. I thought we would have, if we was going to get pulled, we'd have got pulled ages ago. Of course, I ain't looking to gift horse in the mouth. Counting my blessings on that.
Yeah. I mean, we're still here after over 50,000 plays, so.
I know, dude. And you know what? That's wild to me. That doesn't sound like a lot, but this has been the most successful podcast.
Yeah, and we've been almost 100 episodes. We hit that
I've been on.
So yeah.
When I was telling some buddies of mine from the wrestling business back in the day what I was planning on doing next, my number one thing. Now, who in the hell is going to listen to him talk about Guns N' Roses every damn week?
Well, there seems like there's a podcast for everything nowadays, right?
Pretty much.
I know, man. There's 3 for GNR now.
There's 3 for GNR? Oh, wow.
Yeah. You and Brando were first, and then we came along, and then now there's Nothing Lasts Forever.
Oh, is that the one about like this? Don't they just talk about November Rain, the video?
Yeah.
I'm surprised you could fill out a podcast doing that. That's pretty cool.
How they've gone about it is hilarious, because they're basically building the DC Comics universe with just the November Rain music video to go off of.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, because I remember one of the podcast episodes we did is we interviewed an extra from November Rain. Some guy got in touch with me. He was an extra who was like in the, what was it, the Orpheum Theater? They filmed like the one number of scenes in. And yeah, the problem was I don't think his memory was that good. Like he didn't remember a ton of stuff that was going on, but he somehow became an extra, which seemed pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder how long they were in those uncomfortable ass suits, because I got a friend of mine that made an appearance in a movie in Halloween 2, in the concert scene. And in his scene, he had to wear like a costume and shit. And they were there for like 14 hours, like listening to the same song over and over again.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're there for a long amount of time, because like I would love to get my hands on like all the like cut footage that never made the final video. They probably got tons of it sitting in a vault somewhere.
Yeah.
They got tons of shit sitting in the vault.
Yeah, I don't know if
we'll find it.
That's the thing that's disappointing with their YouTube channel is that, you know, Metallica's, they've been putting stuff out. I don't know if lately they've been doing it, but they've been throwing up some like really old concerts
on a weekly
on their
basis,
YouTube channel. Yeah, and like Guns could do the same thing. And I don't think they've even thrown up a Selects video in a while either, like from the Not in This Lifetime tour. It's just kind of like, it's like whenever they feel like it.
Yeah, the last one I think was around like November. It was like around like American Thanksgiving, I think, the last one they did.
Yeah, I think it was like
that long.
I think so. It's like Kansas City, I think was that the last one? And they still have a couple songs they haven't played. But like, how many times have you guys seen them on the reunion tour?
On the reunion, twice.
Yeah, twice as well.
Did you guys see them back in the day, like in like the 90s?
No, I started with the Chidem era.
Yeah. 2006 and 2010.
Yeah, I saw him 3 times on the reunion tour, and I've seen the third time. Like, I mean, it was the third time was cool because they played Dead Horse, which, you know, I hadn't seen them play before. And then they also had Shadow of Your Love, which I hadn't seen them play. But other than that, it was just like this recycled set list. We saw them at Caesars, the 400 seater or 1400 seater venue. It was kind of weird to see them in an intimate venue. They put on a good show, but it was like the same songs as like previously.
Oh yeah. That's my only bitch about Not in This Lifetime, is that it feels like, how do I word this? When it was the Chidem era, well, not even the first Chinese Democracy era when I came in, it was the DJ Ashba era of Guns N' Roses. But that was the band I saw fucking 12 times.
Oh, yeah.
And that, to me, that show just felt like there was a bunch of guys having fun and playing music and shit.
Yeah.
And now it feels just like, the first time was great.
First time was incredible seeing them live. Yeah.
But the second time felt exactly like the first. Like I saw the same show again.
Yeah, the first time I'd seen them, it was in it was when they came here to my city, and even like for hours after the show, I could still feel the adrenaline going through my body. Like I couldn't sleep because it was such a good show. It was like 3 hours, and that was the first time they played Wichita Lineman. That was like the first show they did that, which was kind of unusual for me to hear that from them. And then they did the James Brown cover. And then the second time I saw them was in LA on their home turf, which was really cool at the Staples Center.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, that was a great show too. But yeah, I think they played like Prostitute was different. And then there might have been one more song. But then the third time in Vegas, it was just like the same songs. I mean, it wasn't, and Axl didn't sound quite as good as he did the first 2 shows I saw him.
Yeah. I did notice that deteriorate. Man, when they first came back, Axl was on point.
Yeah,
he was the Axl of yesteryear. And I don't know what happened this last time, but I mean, you got to give him a break at some point physically for what he's able to do. And just, you know, be glad that he's able to be out there and still.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they've got those shows scheduled for the fall in Australia and New Zealand. So I'm curious to see how the band's going to sound. And I hope they've written new material in the last year. But I mean, Slash is kind of like, Slash has been kind of evasive, or he's kind of like, oh yeah, we've gotten together a couple times to jam, and that's about it.
To nap,
yeah.
Yeah, to figure out how to release music.
Yeah.
I love that. Rick Dunsford
Don't
didn't have a
interview
problem
him
figuring
anymore,
out how to
please.
release music.
Yeah. You know what? I haven't been keeping up with the whole saga. I just remember hearing that he got banned from some concert of theirs, and that was the last I remember hearing.
Oh, you don't know about that. We get to tell you about something. How cool is that? Okay.
Yeah, I haven't been
All
paying
right.
that much attention to the message boards since, like, I remember Rick showed up to some show and I don't even know what place it was, and the security like
Um,
threw him out.
was it Wichita?
Might have been Wichita.
It's one of those festivals, I think, maybe. Well, no, he
I
got
think
banned
it
at
was a
Wichita.
festival. I think Wichita's where he got kicked out.
Yeah, that's where the band came.
The lockers came out, and he says he didn't leak the lockers. And I kind of believe him. He says he didn't do it. I ain't got no reason to grill him or not trust him. Because, you know, one, I ain't got no goddamn skin in that game. I don't care if he did it or not. Like, at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck. But he did show me, and he has shown me emails and stuff to prove he's telling the truth on a lot of stuff. But he sent, the reason Fernando found out about it is because he sent Fernando an email and told him what was going on. And then Fernando, when they leaked, Fernando, the only person Rick knew or Fernando knew that had the songs in their possession was Rick, because Rick was the one that contacted them to try to say, hey, this locker is for sale. You better send some money to this guy and buy this fucking locker. And
Yeah.
so that's and then he went and bought the locker when Fernando didn't respond to him. And so yeah, Fernando blamed him and they banned him. I don't think they'll be able to enforce that, because how would you know? How are they going to know? You know, put a hat on.
Yeah, I kind of wondered too. Like, remember when that in was it 2008? That one guy leaked a bunch of songs before Chinese Democracy came out.
Squirrel.
And yeah, Squirrel. Yeah, and you remember, like,
Yeah.
I thought you can't copyright stuff that hasn't been released. Like, unless you can. I think there was didn't some judge say there was no proof it was ever going to come out? So how is it copyrighted to begin with?
Yeah, I remember that.
I think there's some loose, like, I'm not a lawyer, but I thought there was something like that was made in that ruling.
If you're that interested, I'll tell you what happened. But
Yeah.
I will have to talk, like, not on the show.
Yeah, that's fine.
But yeah. Anyway, the song.
Yeah. Let's get into our review.
I'm sorry, man. Didn't mean to hold you up, but we're having such a good conversation.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Make sure this is going to work. We have a very ghetto setup here. So. Everybody hear the music okay?
Yep.
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to rewind. All right, folks, we're back with Sid from Rock and Roll True Stories, and we're going to check out Death on the Lips by Duff McKagan's Walking Papers.
Yeah, those girls won't think about the weather when they decided what they was gonna wear tonight. They cut their lips, yeah, they huddled together on a curb outside a dive called the Satellite. Yeah.
I hate to, man. That's going to be one of them hard episodes because we're going to want to just listen to the song.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I know.
interesting.
Is this a good? Is this like a new song Duff released, or it's just like from his?
It's from Walking Papers. It says on the video I'm looking at YouTube was 2017. It says.
Yeah, it's from like a little
Oh.
side project he had. For,
Yeah, 'cause
he was
I-
on like 2 albums of theirs.
Yeah, because I thought he was. He wasn't. I thought he was in Walking Papers as like a permanent player.
He was.
Yeah, he was
Oh, he
like
was,
the
yeah.
bassist. But I think he left after like 2018 because of like GNR
Guns
commitments
N'
and
Roses,
stuff. Yeah.
right. No, I thought it was good.
Let's take some more.
Yeah.
Have you got the lyrics and the facts and stuff ready?
I got lyrics pulled up, yeah. Let me
Okay.
know. Yeah.
Well, let's get to the chorus and then we're going to dissect the first verse.
Yeah.
To the life I've been living, and I'm not sure this is it.
Man, this has either got a long build up to a course or I've gotten lost on the map. So
Yeah.
so let's go with what we've gotten so far, because if we let it go, don't want to let it play too long and overstep our bounds on that.
Mm.
We're gonna listen to the whole song, but I just don't want to do it all at once. So.
Yeah.
Let's read some of the lyrics, Caputo.
All right, so we'll start from the first verse here. Those girls weren't thinking about the weather when they decided what they was going to wear tonight. They curled their lips, yeah, they huddled together on a curb outside a dive called the Satellite.
Off to a good sounding weekend.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So if you're out there hustling on them streets.
Damn straight.
Sounds like, yeah. They do their best to look unimpressed. They suck on cigarettes like cancer doesn't exist. One night only is what they suggest, if it's all right. Yeah, this is definitely about like
it always comes back to hookers with this fucking band. Have you noticed that everything GNR, and somehow we always bring it back to hookers? All right, let's drive back in. I've got eyes like a black over me. I hide in the shadows of my bed. Now this has really reminded me of another band, though. What band am I thinking of? This ain't a trivia game. I'm trying to see, like, who's it remind y'all of? Because it's got a familiarity to the sound.
Yeah, I keep getting like Black Keys vibe.
Yeah, it does sound like Black Keys, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, with like less crunch and distortion.
So they can stand there in the corner, slipping their straws in their tricks. She's a ghost light in the distance, after decades in the dark. She's a parent jumper cables on a heart that wouldn't stop. She's a splash of Coca-Cola in her. I really hope we got a badass guitar solo that we're building up to.
I'm hoping for that.
And I've kissed death on the lips, and I say goodbye to the lie I've been living. And I'm not sure this is it, but tonight
It's an easy song to kind of vibe to.
on the streets of heaven. Yeah.
There's a guitar solo.
All right, we got that beat down.
Oh yeah, this is the alternative rock like breakdown beat.
Yeah.
Some nights I stay up.
Do you guys play music too yourselves?
I dabble.
Yeah, in lockdown, I wish. Chris, do you play music at all?
Yeah, I've played guitar for like years. Not as much as now, but here and there I still crank it out.
Yeah, just like the last month or so, I was like trying to get some like life balance because I've been working so much on Rock and Roll Stories. I was like, I should just go start learning to play guitar. So I picked it up in the last month. But I went to the music store and they have like a Slash model. It's like a really entry level Les Paul. I don't know anything about guitars.
It's hard at first.
It's hard. Yeah, it's super hard.
Yeah.
I played drums for a lot of years, and I find drumming a lot easier than playing guitar.
Yeah, I can't play guitar. So if anybody can pick that up and be able to do anything with it, to me, they're much more talented than I am.
Yeah, like I was trying to play the guitar. I've been using like Justin guitar online. That's what people recommended if you're starting. And but when I'm playing, I can hear like this ringing sound from like the third string. And I'm like, there must be something wrong with my guitar. So I go to the guitar store, and the guy basically said, "You suck," and it's nothing wrong with your guitar. Is really good, actually.
He called you. He
Plucking the wrong
called you.
things.
Yeah, he basically said, in a nice way, said, oh, it's just your technique. It's really bad, or something. Because he took the guitar and he played it. It sounded like great. And he's like, no, your guitar is really good. And I haven't went and got a guitar teacher yet, just with COVID and stuff. So maybe in a couple months when things settle down, I'll go actually search out a guitar teacher.
And just think, you'll get to tell that story on stage every night right before your badass guitar solo.
That's right. Yeah, because I've been trying to search YouTube, like find some easy GNR songs to play, and I haven't gotten that part yet.
Yeah, I don't think I'd start there, bud. I'd probably start with some CCR, maybe some Grateful Dead, just to learn the chords and shit.
Guns are, because I did find one video. It's like Slash's 10 easiest riffs, and I can't play any of them. They're just way too hard. It's hard beginner. Yeah, pretty much.
That's why a good GNR.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's hard to find a good cover band of this show. I feel like there's a lot of good ones out there, especially I'm lucky to have a few in my own home area.
Mm-hmm.
And, but man, that's a brave band to cover because when they stink, they stink.
Right.
And if one element's off, they stink. Because it's like, I hate to sound, I know how this is going to sound. I really don't mean it that way, but it's like sometimes when you get like one where they don't speak English so well.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like, and then they're trying to do Welcome to the Jungle, but the words. And so it's like, oh.
Well, it's funny because when you go on YouTube and you watch covers of like GNR songs, there's like a lot of like South American bands who do it. And the instrumentals sound really good, but there's something just like a little bit off with the vocals.
Yeah.
It's never quite as good as what, the original.
Who was I guess it was Korean. Maybe it's a Korean game show. It was, or maybe Japanese, but it was Yosoi Axl Rose. Have you guys ever seen? Do you guys know about?
I've never heard about this. What the fuck?
Well, someday we'll revisit that on the show then, and everything. But I highly recommend, if you haven't looked it up yet, Yosoi Axl Rose is a beautiful video to watch for the GNR fan.
I'll have to go look that out on YouTube.
Like this kid is like, his English is really bad, and you hate to laugh at how bad his English is, but you can't, you can't help it. And then he's so good. Like, he nails all of the vocals so perfectly. It's just that, and because of how good he is, that gives it the comedy that it has. All right, let's see. Let's kill off the song here. We got 30 seconds to go. All right, Death on the Lips by Walking Papers.
I was never a big Black Keys fan. Like, I like a couple of their songs, but that seems like a more accessible version of Black Keys, that actually, like a cooler version.
Yeah, and so far they haven't disappointed yet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe, have the Walking Papers have had a bad song on this show yet?
Not yet. I think we only covered like 3 or 4 of their songs so far, and they've all been like decent, at least like 3 and above for us.
Yeah, Loaded had some stinkers, but I don't think Walking Papers had.
No, Walking Papers has actually been like a pretty like above average, like decent, definitely like playlist addable songs, if that's like the term. Stuff you want to listen to more than like 3 times.
Oh yeah. Well, let's get into reviews. Let's give our final thoughts. And Sid, we're going to start with you since you're our guest. Now, what we like to do is we like to give our final thoughts on the song, what we thought about it, and then give it a rating between 1 and 5.
Well, sure. So I start with the rating first, or that comes at the very end?
However you want to do it.
I'd probably give it a 4 out of 5. I thought it was like a cooler version of the Black Keys, I would say. Like, I like the guitar work a lot better than, even though you're waiting for it for a while, I thought the solo was pretty good. And yeah, the song had kind of a swagger to it. I like that.
No doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Chris, or you want to go next? Or you want me to go next? Or you want rock paper scissors for it?
No, I'll roll next here. It's not bad. I mean, it's a pretty good trend so far here on the show. Walking Papers do some pretty decent shit. I can't complain. It's another decent song. I feel like they really toe the line between like blues rock and that alt rock really well, and I'll give them that. I mean, I wasn't crazy about the solo, but I understand like that solo also sort of fits the tone and style of the song, so I can give it pass on that. Overall, it's decent. It's not bad. I'd probably listen to it a couple more times, maybe get a better feel for the song, because like just off the first impressions, it's good, but maybe after a few more listens, it can be even better. But for me right now, I'll give it a solid 3 out of 5.
All right. I'm gonna be the bad guy this time, because one of the things you both mentioned was the solo, and that's in my notes to talk about. But first, I want to say I was waiting on a banger of a chorus to come in. I guess because we've got used to that. We've been listening to a lot of Slash's Blues Ball lately.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Not blue balls, you sick fuck.
We've been listening to that a lot, and so I guess my expectation might be a little high, but the first off, the chorus was kind of like meh, and I was like, okay, so that's not what they're building to. So it's like, okay, we got a long build up to what's going to be a nice bluesy, jazzy guitar solo. I was kind of expecting, and then I had to give what I got a thumbs down, and so it knocked off points for disappointing me twice.
Damn.
But now you're right, it does got a good swagger to it. It makes good background music if I'm cleaning or hanging out with you guys and talking to somebody.
Yeah.
I wouldn't turn it off for that, but I wouldn't add it to my playlist.
I feel like if you went to like a clothing store or something, it might be having it in the background.
And you know what? I'd probably hum along to it if I needed
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't go seek it out on my iPod or on Spotify. Just showed my age really bad, didn't it?
Don't worry, I still remember iPods. Bring them back, damn it.
Well, anyway, my final grade is 2.5. I was in the 3. I started out in the 4-star territory, and then I started moving. That first solo, that first disappointed, knocked it down to 3, and then the solo almost knocked it down to 2 for me. But it was able to keep my. I was able to vibe with it the rest of the way through, so it ain't bad. It ain't bad. Let us know what you think, though. Head over to Discord, join the conversation for the Guns and Radio podcast. Give us your opinions. Tell us, did you like the song? Did you hate the song? Fuck you. Whatever you want to tell us, it's fine. Man, Seth, thanks again for coming on to the show, man. Do you have anything you want to say before we wrap up for the night?
No, just thanks for having me on. And yeah, if you guys go check out Rock and Roll True Stories if you haven't seen it. And we do Guns N' Roses stories on it. I think what was the recent? Oh, we did 1 in a Million recently. That one. You know what? When I first did it on GNR Central, not many people. It wasn't controversial because it was all GNR fans. But when I did it on Rock and Roll True Stories, it was so funny. People accused me of being a racist, and what else are they? One person accused me of being a racist. The other person accused me of being too PC. So I can't have it both ways.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird, but I was really proud of that video. I thought that was like, especially like finding like Sean Penn defended the band. There was some cool stuff in there.
Sorry. I'm sorry about that. We had a sound effects mishap just now. You were saying
We're gonna play it right now.
Yeah, there was stuff about Sean Penn defending the band, and then we got some more GNR coming. I was telling you guys earlier, like we got some mega GNR videos coming towards the end of the year, and I was gonna ask you guys, did you guys get a copy of Matt Storm's book yet? I know some people did. Like,
yeah, I got it when it leaked.
Yeah, I got it when it leaked too, and then I saw it's getting like a new release date.
Yeah, because I guess I don't know what happened with that, but I guess it's coming out now. Maybe
I guess COVID kind of ruined it, but
yeah.
The only thing I wanted to say is it's crazy that he's having a baby at 61 years old or something.
That's gusto, man.
That's gusto. I know.
You learn from the school of Keith Richards and Mick Jagger.
That's right.
Fuck. Here I am, 35, and can barely get it done. So good on him.
Yeah, we just I got a young daughter and I'm 34 and like, oh, I can't imagine being 61 and having the first kid. That's
Jesus.
Yeah, but see, you got to remember you're a rock star, so somebody else will fuck with raising them.
that's right. Yeah,
That's true.
exactly. But yeah,
Well,
no, thanks for having me on, guys. It was fun chat. It's fun to talk about something other than marketing all the time.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely you're welcome to come join us anytime you want. Just let us
Oh, yeah.
know, and I don't care what we're doing. We'll have you on. But do you guys want to spin the wheel and see what song we're reviewing next week on the show? I almost forgot about that.
Yeah.
And be sure to head over to GN Extra, where Caputo and I are going to continue to be hanging out for a little bit, debriefing, kind of calming down after such a good show. There it goes.
Monkey Dizzy.
Monkeys by Izzy Stradlin.
Ooh, more Izzy.
Okay, you know
Yeah.
what? I'm going to give it. The word monkey cracks me up a lot, because of Frieza. So, I love it. You know what I was talking about.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Frieza.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's next week on the Guns and Radio podcast. Be sure to head over to gunsradio.com for more awesome content. And also get on YouTube and look up Rock and Roll True Stories if you haven't already. And go subscribe, click that bell icon, and show our boy Sid some love for his awesome channel. Until next time, I'm Dustin Bonez.
And I'm Chris Caputo. We'll see you here next Monday on Guns and Radio. Peace.